It makes sense for me to sit down and look at the goals that I've got to set for the coming year and probably maybe going forward from there. Some of you guys watching this video probably thinking, we all sit down at the end of the year and set goals, and one of the things that most of you guys probably hate is the fact that there is a growing list of people who actually sit down and when they set those goals are not necessarily achieved at the end of the year, or maybe at the end of 5 years. I've been a victim in that area, and I think I have to do this now and make sure that I also publish this video. And if there is one thing that you should probably maybe put on top of your list is how you set goals for the next few years that are coming ahead of you, but also looking at how you could do it differently in 2019. So one of the things that I think learned very quickly why most of my goals previously were failing is simply because I understood the requirement and the importance of setting those goals. When I set my goals, it was sort of like a glossary, sort of like an afterthought. But now, if I didn't do it properly, probably maybe it would be very difficult for me to sort of like get certain things done. And that's one of the reasons why I think we are discussing this. Why should you bother setting goals? Why should I set goals? Well, for me, setting goals is sort of like putting a system in place where I can sort of like collectively put together milestones that I've been able to achieve over a certain set of period. And then when I look back and see some of the achievements that I've done, that when I put them together, they add up to long sheet of successes of certain things, or maybe certain projects that I've been able to work on and managed to get some of the stuff done. For example, one of the things that I really wanted to make sure that I created a job security for myself, and one of them was not necessarily to depend, to have my earnings depending on the exchanging time for money where I'm doing a 9 to 5. So I set out myself a goal to make sure that I created multiple streams of revenues that would sort of like compensate me on monthly basis. And one of them is I started a blog. I currently do run a number of blogs that collectively bring me a bit of money into my pocket, and that's one of the things that I've done. So for me to successfully be able to run these assets and be able to sort of like maintain the kind of money that I need to pay for my mortgage, to pay for my living expenses and all the other sorts of things, and even plan for my retirement, has been to make sure that I execute these projects perfectly, so that there is no room for error. And if I make any mistake, or if there's any error, I should be able to see it either before it happens, or maybe when it's just about to happen, so that I can fix it. That's one of the things why I think for me, when I laid out the whole plan and it sort of like started moving things on the table to make sure that everything is lined up for the goals that or maybe for the dream that I had to make sure that there was a sort of like a roadmap. Setting goals for this coming year is your way of trying to put a roadmap in front of you, map out an actionable plan that should be able to move you from point A to point B. That's the way how I look at goal setting. The other thing that also setting goals sort of like allows me is to make sure that when I have those goals laid out, mapped out, and I can visually see the action plan that I need to follow to execute them, it also gives me an opportunity to sort of like break them into bite-sized chunks. I have goals set out for the year, and then I have goals set out for half a year, which is like for the next 6 months, for the next 3 months. And I have goals at a monthly level, which is like in the next 4 weeks, this is what I want to achieve. And then I've got weekly goals. But what actually gets me out of bed every day, that I also have a day-to-day goal setup, where now I look at my weekly, my weekly goals, and then I map out a smaller a smaller plan for what I need to do to accomplish for the day. I have to balance between being a dad and also running my own business from home. I have to factor those things in and make sure that everything is working in line with what I've got for the day. I sit down and plan for what needs to be done for the next day. So that's the way how I look at the setting goals. I don't just set goals for the year and forget them. I make sure that I set goals for the year, but I also look at setting goals for next 6 months and breaking that 6 months into 3 months, and then these 3 months into monthly goals, and the monthly goals into weekly goals, and these weekly goals are broken down again into day-to-day goals. And what that allows me is to make sure that when I look at goals that I need to achieve for the month, they don't really look that big, simply because I'm looking at weekly goals. And when I look at weekly goals, they're also not that huge, simply because I'm looking at the day-to-day goals. So if my goal is to write one blog post at least every day for my website, for my blog, it's not difficult for me to get out of bed, have a cup of coffee, do what I need to do to prepare for the day. Whether if I've got meetings that needs to be convened and stuff like that, I have to do those meetings. If I've got clients that I need to communicate with, I have to do that. Once I've done that, then I'll sit down and write my article. That's the way how I look at setting goals, and why I think since I started doing my goals, I've seen a lot of improvement in the way how my workflow has actually sort of like gotten the results that I'm enjoying at the moment. Looking forward to 2019, one of the things that I'm looking at when I look at my goals for 2019, I've got to look at my blogging calendar. I need to sort of like look at what kind of content do I want to publish, and how do I lay out that. And to that extent, most of you guys who are watching my videos, if you've got some of the ideas of content that you need going out, make sure you leave a comment below this video and tell me what is it that you would like to see content being published about. Most of my content, if you look at the link below this video, there should be a link to my blog. You'll notice that most of them are guides, where if somebody is starting a business or starting a blog or whatever it is that you're doing, you will find that most of those guides are available for free, for a free download. And there should be a link below this video that should take you to my blog, where you could be able to access most of those guides. Let me know in the comment box below and tell me what kind of content do you want published. I'm also working on, as part of my goals for 2019, is to make sure that I grow my following on YouTube. For me, when I look at YouTube, I look at YouTube as a place where I come and get into contact with most of you guys, my viewers and stuff like that. And that's very important for me, to make sure that when I come here, if I shoot a video, provide with you guys the value. I at least publish content that you want, and you're also sort of like getting benefit out of the content that I'm publishing. So if you guys would like to see any videos in line with the type of content that I publish, make sure you leave a comment below this video as well, and tell us what is it that you would want. And if there's anything that you need in terms of help in relation to if you're just getting started with your blog, whatever it is that you're doing, you can also leave a comment. The other thing that I'm also looking at for 2019 is I'm launching an online course, I think, which is getting launched in the next couple couple of months. That's one of the things that is also on my calendar for 2019. So if you're wondering and probably maybe you're thinking if you would be interested in getting part of that course which we are giving for free, make sure that you register for the mini course that we are giving out for free. The course that we're giving out for free, which is the link below this video, we normally sell that course for $97, and we're just giving it away simply because we want to provide value to you guys and make sure that we give you sort of like a head start. And if that's something that you would be interested in looking into, make sure that you go below this video. There's also a link that takes you to that course as well. What should you be looking at when you're setting goals? For me, I think one of the things that I normally look at when I'm setting my goals, it doesn't matter whether it's the goals that I'm setting for the year or goals that I'm setting for the day or for the week. I want to make sure that my goals are specific. And what I mean by that is I have to make sure that if I say tomorrow I'm posting a blog post, that blog post should have 3,000 words in it, and it's on this particular title. I make sure that I know that that's what I need to do. So when I wake up in the morning, I make sure that I achieve that, I accomplish that, and it's done. That's the first thing you need to do. And the other thing that you also need to make sure that is part of your goal setting is to make sure that the goals that you set are measurable. Most of the goals that I've seen fail over the past few years when I didn't have a proper planning, or when I didn't have a proper process of how to set those goals and sort of like accomplish them, is simply because they were just all over the place. They were just too general. It's easy to set up a goal where you say, I want to start a blog, or maybe I want to lose weight. But if you don't really say, I want to drop 5 stones by the end of 3 months, you won't be able to achieve it. So make sure that it's measurable. Sometimes we get too excited and come up with ridiculous kind of like goals that we set for ourselves. For me, as a parent, I know that there are certain things that I'm limited to doing, simply because I have to trade off my time between doing my job but also raising a family, and that includes doing school runs and stuff like that. So I have to make sure that when I'm setting my goals, they don't sort of like start making these other things look like they're getting in the way. So if in your case, if you are planning on setting goals to lose weight, if you have kids, if you have family, a young family, it's not realistic for you to say, I'm gonna go to the gym 3 or 4 times a day. It's okay to set up a goal where you are saying that you're going to do, at least you attend 3 classes a week, and I think that's at least achievable, and it really looks realistic to me. Always make sure that when you set those goals, you have to be able to measure what you've managed to achieve. And that's why my goals for the year are broken into 12 months, 6 months, 3 months, 1 month, a week, and a day. Because by the end of the day, when I'm going to bed, I know what I was set to do today has been done. For the week, I know that it's been done. And at the end of every month, I look back and I also evaluate at what I've done. And if I tick the boxes that's properly done and is sorted, I'm happy, and I move on to the next stage of whatever is happening. If you're setting goals this time around, don't set goals that just say, I'm going to start a blog. Make sure if you're going to sit down and do that, come up with a date, come up with the month, come up with the whatever expectations that you want, and put that in front of you, and put your foot down and make sure that you go and do it. I'm looking for content ideas that you guys would like to see coming out going forward from now. Leave a comment below this video, but also make sure you subscribe to this channel. All right, cheers guys.